Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into a book today that I know a lot of you have been curious about, The Key Leverage Thinking of Becoming Rich. It's packed with some really interesting strategies for building wealth, and I can't wait to break it down with you.
It really does get right to the point, Right off the bat, it throws you into this wild story about Bob, this software engineer, who figures out how to outsource his own job overseas.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he basically gets someone else to do his work for a fraction of his salary while he just kicks back and collects a paycheck.
Okay, now that's entrepreneurial, I guess, but also kind of ethically questionable, right?
Definitely not recommending that approach.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It really highlights the power of leverage, which is what this whole book is about. It's like, how can you use what you've got to create something much bigger, something you couldn't do on your own?
I like that. It's like using a lever to move a boulder that's way too heavy to lift yourself.
Exactly. And this book argues that you can use the same principles to build wealth. Speaking of which, the book makes a really important distinction between just having money and building true wealth. And I think it's something people often mix up.
So it's more than just semantics.
Oh yeah, for sure. See, the book defines money as basically what you get for the value you provide. It's like society's way of saying, hey, thanks for doing that thing. Here's a little something in return.
That's like an IOU from society.
Exactly. But wealth, on the other hand, wealth is about owning assets. It's about having things that generate income even when you're not actively working for it.
Okay, now you're talking my language. That passive income dream, right?
Exactly. Think rental properties that bring in a steady stream of rent every month, or royalties from that hit song you wrote, or
dividends from investments.
Yes, yeah. All of that. And the beauty is, once you've set it up, it doesn't require your constant attention. It's like money working for you instead of the other way around.
I mean, who wouldn't want that, right? But how do we actually get there? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And the book has a pretty compelling answer for that. It's all about productizing yourself.
Okay, so what does that even mean? Productizing yourself. It sounds a little strange.
I know, right? But it basically boils down to identifying what you're really good at, your unique skills and knowledge, and then finding ways to scale their impact.
So instead of just trading your time for money, you package your expertise in a way that can reach a much larger audience.
Now you're getting it. It's like the consultant the book mentions who takes their years of experience and creates an online course that can reach thousands of people instead of just a handful of clients.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, that reminds me, we should probably talk about Naval, the guy behind these principles. I know he's kind of a legend in the tech and investing world, right?
Yeah, Naval's story is pretty remarkable.
Remind me again how he rose to prominence.
So he emigrated from India, right? Came from very humble beginnings, and through sheer determination and some really smart moves, he became a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, investing in companies like Twitter and Uber way back when they were just starting out.
Talk about a good eye for opportunity.
No kidding. But here's the thing. He built his wealth using these very principles we're talking about, leverage and productization.
So he walks the walk. He doesn't just talk the talk. I like it. But I'm guessing it's not just about copying everything Naval did, right? We have to find our own path.
You're absolutely right. And that's actually a really important takeaway from Naval's approach.
Yeah.
It's not about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about discovering your own unique path, your own niche, something that you're passionate about. That's where the real magic happens.
Okay, I love that. So how do we even begin to figure out what that path looks like, what our own unique niche might be?
Well, there's this great quote from the book that I think gets at this perfectly. Specific knowledge can't be taught, but it can be learned.
Hold on, how can something be learnable if it can't be taught? That seems a little contradictory, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it gets to the heart of what real expertise is all about. So you can learn facts and figures from a textbook, right? But deep, specialized knowledge, the kind that makes you truly valuable, that comes from experience, from consistently showing up in a specific field and putting in the work. It's about becoming a master of your domain.
So it's not just what you know, it's how you apply it.
You got it. It's about taking action and gaining real-world experience. And the book goes on to outline these three main types of leverage that can help you amplify your efforts in any field, no matter what you're passionate about. They call it labor leverage, capital leverage, and zero marginal cost leverage.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's break those down. So labor leverage, that one seems fairly self-explanatory, right? Hiring people to help you grow.
Exactly. Think of companies like Tesla. They rely on a massive workforce to design, build, and sell their cars. That's labor leverage in action. Or even think back to Bob at the beginning of the book, though obviously we're talking about ethical hiring practices here, not outsourcing your own job.
Right, of course, of course. So what about capital leverage? That one sounds pretty financial.
It is. Think of it like this. You've got a brilliant hedge fund manager, right? Someone with a proven track record of success. They can use that reputation to attract millions, even billions of dollars in investments, which they then use to generate even bigger returns. It's like this snowball effect where money attracts more money.
Okay, I see. So it's using money to make more money. And what about that last one, zero marginal cost leverage? That one sounds almost too good to be true.
I know, right? It's where things get really interesting, especially in today's digital age. Basically, it's the ability to create something once like an ebook, a piece of software, an online course, and then sell it over and over again without the cost of producing it increasing with each sale.
So are we talking about things like digital products and services?
Bingo. Because once you've created it, you can sell it to thousands, potentially millions of people online without having to spend a ton of money every time.
That's incredible. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. You put in the work up front, and then it just keeps generating income.
Exactly. And the best part is, because the cost of distributing something digitally is so low, you can reach a global audience without breaking the bank. It's like a game changer when it comes to scaling your impact and your income.
Okay, I can definitely see why this is so powerful. So it sounds like instead of trading your time for money, you're essentially creating something valuable that can work for you passively.
You got it. And that ties back to this whole idea of productizing yourself, which we talked about earlier. It's about taking what you're good at and packaging it in a way that people find valuable and are willing to pay for.
It's about creating value and then finding ways to share that value with the world. I love that.
Me too. And all of this, all these different types of leverage, it circles back to the book's core message. Wealth isn't just about how much money you have. It's about owning assets that work for you, even while you sleep.
So we've talked about the what owning assets, and we've talked about the how leveraging your skills and knowledge to get there. But I think there's this other really crucial piece of this puzzle, and that's the mindset, right? Because this book really seems to emphasize that building wealth isn't just about having the right strategies, it's about cultivating the right mindset.
Absolutely. You can have all the tools and knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the right mindset, it's not going to get you very far.
So what are we talking about when we say the right mindset? What kind of shifts do we need to make?
One of the biggest ones that the book talks about is moving away from a scarcity mindset.
Scarcity mindset.
Yeah, that belief that there's only so much to go around, that if someone else is successful, it means there's less for you. And instead, embracing an abundance mindset, believing that there are unlimited opportunities out there, and that your success doesn't take away from anyone else's.
So it's like moving from a fixed pie mentality to a we can always bake more pies mentality.
Exactly. And that shift can make a world of difference in how you approach opportunities and challenges.
I bet. If you believe there's only so much pie to go around, you're going to be constantly competing with everyone else for a slice.
For sure. But when you believe you can bake your own pie, the possibilities become limitless. You're not afraid to collaborate, to share knowledge, because you know that there's enough success to go around.
That's such a powerful shift. What other mindset shifts does the book talk about?
Patience and persistence, they're huge. Building wealth, building anything worthwhile, really, it takes time. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, It's a marathon, not a sprint.
You've got to trust the process.
Exactly. Trust the process, believe in yourself, and don't give up even when things get tough, because they will.
And celebrate those small wins along the way. I think that's so important. It's easy to get bogged down when you're so focused on the end goal, but those small wins can be so motivating.
Totally. Celebrating the wins, big or small, helps you stay motivated and reminds you that you're making progress.
Absolutely. So to recap, we've covered a lot of ground. The difference between money and wealth, the power of productizing yourself, and those 3 key types of leverage. But one of the biggest takeaways here, I think, is that building wealth is as much about your mindset as it is about strategy.
100%. It's about adopting that abundance mindset, being patient, being persistent, and remembering to celebrate the wins along the way.
And remembering that there's no one right way to do it. It's about finding what works for you, your unique skills and interests, right?
Absolutely. There's no cookie-cutter approach to success.
Yeah.
Speaking of finding your own unique path, we should probably talk a little bit more about Naval Ravikant and his journey to success.
Oh yeah, let's do it. He's got some fascinating insights on identifying your strengths and leveraging them.
He really does. And I think his story and his philosophies can be incredibly valuable for anyone who's looking to create a more fulfilling and abundant life in all senses of the word.
I'm excited to dive into that. It's all about finding that sweet spot where your passion meets your skills, right?
Yeah, totally. And speaking of those skills, we were talking about those 3 different types of leverage: labor leverage, capital leverage, and zero marginal cost leverage.
Right.
We talked about labor leverage, hiring employees or outsourcing, and capital leverage, using money to make more money, like through investments.
Yeah.
But that third one, zero marginal cost leverage, that's where things get really interesting, especially now with all things digital.
Yeah, that one definitely stuck with me. What was it about zero marginal cost leverage that makes it so powerful?
Basically, it's the ability to make something once and then sell it again and again without the cost going up for each sale. Like, think about digital products, online courses, ebooks, software, even a hit song.
It's like the initial effort is the big thing.
Pretty much. Because once you've created it, you can sell it to tons of people, thousands, even millions online without those costs adding up each time.
Wow, that's powerful. You're not limited by those traditional production costs.
Exactly. And that low cost of distribution means you can reach a global audience without needing, a ton of money up front. It's a game changer for anyone who wants to build wealth, especially now.
So instead of constantly trading your time for money, you create this one valuable thing that can work for you passively. Are there examples of this in the book that really show how this works in the real world?
Oh yeah, tons. Like, they talk about a photographer who creates an online course teaching photography skills. Right? So they put all the work into creating that course content up front, and then they can sell it to aspiring photographers all over the world. Each sale brings in more income, but they don't have to actively teach every single student.
That's a great example. It really shows that you don't need a ton of money to start building wealth. If you've got a skill or knowledge that's valuable, you can package it and sell it online.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to that idea of productizing yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we were talking about before. Figuring out what you're good at and finding creative ways to turn that into a product or a service that other people want.
It's like you become the product in a way, or at least your expertise does.
In a way, yeah. And these different types of leverage, they give you the tools to amplify that value that you create.
So it's all about working smarter, not necessarily harder.
100%. It's about making your efforts go further. And I think that circles back to one of the main messages of the book, which is this idea that wealth isn't about how much money you've got in the bank. It's about owning things that generate income even when you're not working. It's having your money work for you.
It's about creating a system, right? Not just working yourself to the bone.
Exactly. So we've talked about the what, owning those assets and the how, leveraging your skills and knowledge. But there's another big piece to this that I think is super important. Mindset. The book emphasizes this a lot. It's not enough to just know this stuff intellectually. You got to embody it, make it part of how you see the world.
Oh, I totally agree. Mindset is everything. So what kind of mindset shifts are we talking about here? What does the book suggest?
Well, a big one is letting go of that scarcity mindset. That idea that there's not enough to go around, that someone else's success somehow diminishes your own potential.
Oh, yeah, that fixed pie mentality we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. It's about shifting to an abundance mindset instead. Believing that there are endless opportunities out there, that the pie can always grow, and that your success doesn't have to come at the expense of others.
That's such a good point. When you believe there's enough to go around, it opens up so many more possibilities for collaboration and growth. You're not so caught up in competition and comparison.
Totally. And that shift, just that one shift, can have such a ripple effect on every area of your life. It can impact how you approach your work, your relationships, your finances, everything.
It's about seeing the bigger picture, right? So, besides embracing abundance, what other mindset shifts does the book highlight?
Patience and persistence. Those are huge. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle culture, wanting everything to happen overnight.
Oh, for sure, especially with social media constantly bombarding us with images of overnight success and instant gratification.
Right. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if things aren't happening quickly, then we're doing something wrong. But the reality is, building wealth, building anything worthwhile, it takes time. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
So it's about trusting the process and being in it for the long haul.
Absolutely. It's about focusing on consistently showing up, putting in the work, even when you don't see immediate results, and trusting that those efforts will eventually pay off.
And not being afraid to ask for help along the way.
Yes. Community and support are so important too. Surrounding yourself with people who lift you up and believe in your vision, that's crucial.
100%. So we've covered so much ground here. Money versus wealth, productizing yourself, those different types of leverage. But one of my biggest takeaways is that it's not just about the external strategies, it's about the internal work too. It's about cultivating that wealth building mindset.
Absolutely. It's about the inner game just as much as the outer game.
Love that. So as we move towards wrapping up this deep dive, what's the one message you want our listeners to walk away with today?
Building wealth isn't about luck or privilege. It's about taking control of your own financial future, using your unique skills and knowledge, and trusting that consistent action will lead to incredible results. It's a journey, and it's yours to create.
Beautifully said. And speaking of creating your own journey, we should spend a little more time talking about Naval Ravikant and his unique path to success.
Definitely. He has some really fascinating insights on how to identify those things that make you different, those unique strengths that can help you stand out from the crowd.
Okay, let's do it. Tell me more about Naval's philosophy and how we can use it to uncover our own hidden talents and passions. So what's so special about Naval's take on finding your path?
Well, he really emphasizes this idea of specific knowledge, which at first might sound a little,
Jargony.
Yeah, a little jargony, but it's actually a really powerful concept. It basically refers to that unique combination of your skills, your interests, your experiences, all the things that make you you.
So it's not just general knowledge you can pick up anywhere, it's something more, personalized.
Exactly. It's about going deep on the things that really light you up, the things you're naturally drawn to, not just the things you think you should be interested in. Naval says this specific knowledge often pops up at the intersection of different fields, where disciplines overlap.
So like someone who loves history and also loves tech might find their niche in, say, digital archiving or something.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. And the cool thing about specific knowledge is it can't be easily copied or outsourced. It's your unique advantage in the world.
It's like your superpower. Okay, I'm sold. But how do we actually uncover that specific knowledge? I mean, it's not like we can just pull it out of thin air, right?
Well, Naval suggests paying attention to what you naturally gravitate towards. What do you find yourself getting lost in during your free time? What do you geek out about? Those are clues. It's about following your curiosity.
It's like do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Pretty much. When you're genuinely excited about what you're doing, putting in the effort doesn't feel like a chore. It's just like an extension of who you are.
And that passion, that energy, it's contagious, right? It attracts other people, it creates opportunities.
Totally. Building wealth or building anything meaningful, really it's not just about the money, it's about aligning your actions with your values, with your passions.
So finding that purpose, that thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, right?
Exactly. And that actually brings us to another point that Naval talks about a lot. The power of compounding.
Compounding. We've touched on that before, but it's one of those concepts that's so important it's worth revisiting, right?
Absolutely. It's like, that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
I love that saying.
It perfectly illustrates the power of compounding. It's all about playing the long game. It's about consistently putting in the effort, even when you don't see immediate results, knowing that those actions will eventually add up to something amazing.
So it's about trusting the process.
Trusting the process, being patient, and, being kind to yourself along the way. It's not always going to be easy.
And celebrating those small victories.
Yes. Those little wins are huge. They keep you motivated and remind you that you're on the right track.
They make it all feel less overwhelming,
Right. And the best part is, compounding works exponentially. It's like that snowball rolling down a hill. It picks up momentum as it goes, getting bigger and bigger.
So what might start as small incremental steps can lead to massive changes down the line.
Precisely. And I think that's a really empowering message, don't you? Knowing that you don't have to have it all figured out today, that you can achieve incredible things just by taking those small but consistent actions over time.
It's a message of hope and possibility. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
Building wealth, building a life you love. It's not about luck. It's not about privilege. It's about taking ownership of your future, using your unique gifts and talents, and trusting that consistent action combined with an abundance mindset can lead to extraordinary results.
I love that. It's a great reminder that we all have the power to create the life we want. It's just about taking those steps one day at a time.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And there you have it, folks. We've explored the key leverage thinking of becoming rich, unpacked some of Naval Ravikant's most powerful ideas, and discovered that building wealth is as much about inner transformation as it is about outer strategy. Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. So keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.